my YouTube channel, Simply Eseeri. My name is Eseeri and I am so excited to see you here. As you can see, I have my special guest here with me, Noel from Dream Maker Realty. If you guys have not already checked out my previous videos, please do so you fully understand what he's doing here. I am in the process of making one of the biggest purchases of my life, and that is going to be a condo. I'm in the process of looking to purchase my very first condo here in Toronto, Ontario. So I started doing a series with him to guide me through that journey. So for today's video, what we are going to focus on is the pros and cons of owning a condo. If you would like to see the previous videos on this topic, be sure to check out the description box below. For more information on the pros and cons of owning a condo, stay tuned. So welcome back, Noel. Today's discussion should be interesting. What we are going to do is discuss the pros and cons of owning a condo. Through my research, I found out that there's different categories of purchasing a condo. Can you elaborate on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are two major types of condos. The first one is called a resale condo. So this is a condominium that already exists. It's an apartment that already exists. You're purchasing something that has already been lived in. The second category is called a pre-construction condo. In this instance, you are getting into a contractual agreement with a developer who is going to build you a condo unit which will be completed at some time in the future.
Okay.
Typically, these condos take approximately 2 to 4 years to complete.
Okay, that's good to know. And that's very important to recognize when you are planning for a condo. So if it's something that you're looking to move into immediately, I'm assuming a condo that's already been built is something you'll be leaning towards. But if you need to take time and figure out, say, for example, your finances, you might be more inclined to get a pre-construction. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Now that we have an idea of a resale condo versus a pre-construction condo, can you give us somewhat of an analysis of the pros to going towards purchasing a pre-constructed condo?
All right, so I'll start off with some of the advantages of owning a pre-construction condo. The biggest advantage is a delayed payment structure. In many instances, the developer requires an initial deposit, and then you pay the rest of that initial deposit over the course of 30, 60, or 90 days. And then the final sum will take place at closing, which is typically 2 to 4 years later. That's the biggest advantage. The other big advantage of purchasing a pre-construction condo is that you will be buying a brand new building, brand new apartment that's never been lived in. You will have modern amenities, and then the final big advantage is that you get to choose your fit and finish. This is the closest thing to building a custom home or a custom property. You get to pick the doors, the trims, the tiles, the flooring, and so on and so forth. And then there's a bonus advantage, which is the warranty. In Ontario, you have something called a tear-in warranty. So if something breaks within the initial period, I believe it's 1 year or so, the developer is required by law to fix that.
Okay, so this is good to hear. That's a lot of positives when thinking about purchasing a pre-construction condo. One question I do have, you made a comment that there's delayed payment. So say, for example, I would have to make an initial payment and then the next one may be in 30, 60, and 20 days, for example. Typically, percentage-wise, how much would the initial payment be?
Again, that varies widely. So I'm going to give the example of the GTA, and you see anything in terms of initial deposits, anything from $5,000 to $20,000 and more. But typical numbers would be, for example, maybe they want $20,000 on signing. So the day you get into that contractual agreement with a developer, you give them a check for $20,000, and then maybe they want another $5,000 in 30 days, an additional $5,000 in 60, and so on and so forth, until you reach the agreed upon amount, which might be, again, 20%, 5%. It all depends on the developer.
Okay, that's so helpful.
Okay.
So now that we have an idea of the key advantages to purchasing a pre-construction condo, can you share with us some of the disadvantages to purchasing a pre-constructed condo.
Yes. The biggest disadvantage is that because this is something that does not exist, you can't see the final product. So you have to hope that the developer is skilled and knowledgeable in what it's doing, and that they'll provide a good product. Okay. That's the biggest disadvantage. The next big disadvantage, it comes in the form of financing. So there are instances where if the market turns, your loan might not be guaranteed by the bank. So the bank might say that we understand that you got into an agreement with this developer and the purchase price is, let's say, for example, $500,000, but we have done an appraisal of the area and comparable products, and we don't feel that this product is worth $500,000. We can only loan you $480,000. Okay. So that's another disadvantage, right? Because you're purchasing something that's going to be built in the future. Typically, you also have higher closing costs when it comes to purchasing pre-construction condos. And then the last major disadvantage is a lack of liquidity. So between the day you get into the agreement with a developer and the day that it's built, again, this could be anywhere between 2 and 4 years. If something happens with your personal finances within that 2 to 4 years, it is a lot more difficult to sell a pre-construction condo than it is to sell a resale condo. So you lack that level of liquidity. And then finally, there's also issues with taxes as well. If this condo is going to be an investment property, you will pay slightly more taxes than if you were going to be living in it. The last disadvantage doesn't take place with all pre-construction condos. It does with some. It's called the occupancy period. And in this period, you are going to be paying a monthly fee to the developer. Now, the problem with this fee is that it's not money that's going towards your principal, right? So it's almost as if you're paying a rent to live in the property, but this money is not going towards your principal. You're not paying down the mortgage. And in some instances, again, it might not happen at all. In some instances, it could be 1 month, but it could be a year or longer.
Okay, that was a lot. I have a couple of questions. Okay. First off, why would it be hard to resell a pre-constructed condo?
It might be more difficult because of the deposit structure. With resale, you can purchase a resale condo with as little as 5%. With a pre-construction condo, you have to match whatever the original buyer put in. So let's say if I'm purchasing a pre-construction condo from somebody else, and that other person was required to have 20% down, then typically that other person wants that as their deposit. So they want you to give them their $20,000, or 20% down, and then you can sort out the rest with the developer on closing.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And then also, it would also be difficult because of some of the disadvantages that I already discussed. Okay. The property's not built yet, so you can't see it. So you're selling something that hasn't been built.
Okay. And I've seen when I go to like different condo offices,
right.
Lack of language, they have like mock-ups.
Right.
Would you say that provides a little bit of an example, tangible example, to how your condo could look once it's constructed?
Absolutely. It gives you, and typically in those offices, the sales centers, they have different flooring options, so you can you can look to see what it's going to look like. They'll have like different finishes for the kitchen, they'll have different appliances and so forth. You're absolutely right. That gives the potential buyer an experience of what it's going to be like when it's built, but at the end of the day, you still don't have the actual product in front of you.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like you're just hoping for the best for the final products.
Right.
Okay.
And what I recommend in instances like that is, a lot of these developers that operate, especially in urban centers, they have other buildings that they've built. The best thing you can do is just go into one of their older buildings.
Okay, that is so helpful. Definitely helpful to consider. Actually, I didn't think about that. Right. Another question I had was, in your opinion, why do you think that there are higher closing costs for pre-construction?
The reason why pre-construction condos might require a higher closing cost is the taxes. The tax structure is different between pre-construction and resale. Again, if you are not going to be living in it and it's going to be an investment property, you're going to pay higher taxes. And then there's also levies, right? So when you are purchasing a condo, there are levies, and again, these might be capped between $3,000 and $5,000, but those are fees that you would not pay when you were purchasing a resale condo.
Okay, and for those who are not familiar, what are levies?
Development levies are government charges which can be applied to the construction of a condo.
Okay, that's good to know. So now we've gotten a basic overview of the pros and cons of the pre-construction condo. How about we take a look at resale condo and look at the advantages and disadvantages for that option?
Okay, so the main advantage of purchasing a resale condo, the biggest advantage in my opinion, is that it's tangible. You can go in, you can touch, you can feel, you can smell exactly what it looks like. Another advantage of purchasing a resale condo is that there's more choice. There's, in most neighborhoods, there are a lot more resale condos than there are pre-construction condos. Further advantage is the down payment. In Ontario, in Canada, you can purchase a property with as low as 5% down payment, whereas with a pre-construction condo, it might be 10, 15, 20% down. And then the final big advantage is that you get to move in sooner, right? With a pre-construction, with a resale condo, because it's already built, you can move in as soon as you close, whatever day you're comfortable with closing. So it could be 10, 15 days or less.
That's good to know.
Right.
That kind of puts it a little bit at an advantage.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like you go to a store, you see what you want, you buy it, and you take it home right away.
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know. And let's speak of the disadvantages of a resale condo.
Okay, well, it's not necessarily a disadvantage, but it's something that's different from the pre-construction. So I would say the biggest disadvantage would be the fact that you are required to have all of the funds for closing within typically between 30, 60, 90 days. Those are the most common closing times. So whereas with pre-construction, again, these properties are going to be completed within 2 to 4 years. Mm-hmm. With resale, typically we see closing dates within 30, 60, or 90 days.
Okay.
The only other thing that I could think of would be a disadvantage for a resale condo would be the maintenance. So again, because this building has already existed, it might have flaws. It's not brand new, so maintenance might be higher than a pre-construction condo.
Okay, that makes sense. And just to go back to the first disadvantage,
right.
I'm assuming then as a buyer, it
right.
would be in my best interest to make sure I have enough capital
Absolutely.
up front
yes.
if I'm considering a resale condo.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then also when thinking about the maintenance fees, going into the idea of purchasing a resale condo, I would have to do that knowing that I may pay more than average, for example, in maintenance fees because of the upkeep that my condo unit would need.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Noel.
You're welcome.
Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Be sure to like this video, like this video, like this video, and be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any new videos, especially the ones pertaining to my journey to purchasing my condo for the first time. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Take care and see you soon. Bye.